Hello and welcome to my presentation titled Institutions Governing Wildlife Management Areas and Their Implications to Livelihoods of Adjacent Communities in Tanzania, the case of Ngarambe Tapika Wildlife Management Area in Rufiji District. My name is Emmanuel F. Nzunda, and the research was done in collaboration with Rose Gerard Ndendemi. First outline of the presentation. There is introduction, methodology, results and discussion, and finally conclusions and recommendations. Introduction. Wildlife is one of Tanzania's most valuable natural resources. Protected areas are not ring-fenced in Tanzania. Definition: wildlife management area means an area declared by the minister to be so and set aside by village governments or governments for the purpose of biological natural resource conservation. Wildlife management areas were established to enhance conservation, to improve livelihood of local community, to eradicate poverty, and ensure environmental sustainability. In 2003, 16 pilot wildlife management areas were established throughout the country. By diverting wildlife management and benefits to local level, the ambition is to turn the villagers from poachers to conservationists. Among them is Ngarambe Tapika Wildlife Management Area, which was also established in 2003 and as a pilot wildlife management area in Rufiji District. Some studies have been conducted on wildlife management areas. Many wildlife management areas have been relatively slow to develop and are faced with a number of challenges which impair them to fulfill objectives of improving the livelihoods of local community around the wildlife management area. There was no study to examine the directives of former institutions governing wildlife management area and implications to livelihoods of adjacent communities in Tanzania. Hence, this study aimed to fill that knowledge gap. Methodology. The method used for this study was mainly review of documents that are former institutions governing wildlife management areas, supported by household questionnaire survey, focus group discussions, and key informant interviews. Fieldwork was conducted in 2013. The reviewed documents include the Wildlife Policy of 1998, Wildlife Conservation Act of 1974, Wildlife Conservation Act of 2009, Wildlife Management Regulations of 2012, Land Policy of 1997, Land Act 1999, Village Land Act of 1999, Environmental Policy of 1997, and Environmental Management Act of 2004. Ngarambe Tapika Wildlife Management Area is in Rufiji District in Pwani Region. The district has only one wildlife management area, which is Ngarambe Tapika Wildlife Management Area. The wildlife management area received the user rights in 2004 as an authorized association. The association is called Mungata. The association is called Mungata, which is Swahili for Muungano wa Ngarambe na Tapika, meaning in English, Union of Ngarambe and Tapika. Two villages are involved, Ngarambe Village and Tapika Village. A map of the study area showing the main part being the wildlife management area with two villages inserted there as the smaller proportions of the landscape. The total population in 2012 was about 2,400. Dominant land use is agriculture with the farm sizes ranging from 4 to 25 hectares. Common crops include rice, maize, bananas, mostly for subsistence. Vegetation types are mainly miombo woodlands, which are also called Brachystegia juvenalia woodlands, and the coastal forests. Results and discussion. The key issues covered by the formal institutions were categorized mainly into 4, which were participation and education, 2, fair compensation, 3, revenue sharing, and 4, adherence to laws and regulations. The Wildlife Policy of Tanzania 1998 and the Wildlife Act of 2009. The emergence of wildlife management areas is based on the 1961 Arusha Manifesto, where President Mwalimu Julius Kambarage Nyerere first stipulated Tanzania's wildlife conservation philosophy. The Wildlife Policy of Tanzania of 1998 facilitated the establishment of wildlife management areas as a new category of protected wildlife policy. Was based on the need for community-based natural resource management, and the policy had the following objectives. 1, to promote the conservation of wildlife and its habitat outside core areas, which are national parks, game reserves, game controlled areas, by establishing wildlife management areas, and to transfer the management of wildlife management areas to local communities, thus taking care of corridors, migration routes, and buffer zones, and ensuring the local communities obtain substantial tangible benefits from wildlife. Policy states clearly that it's the aim of this policy to allow rural communities and private landholders to manage wildlife on their land for their own benefit. Wildlife management areas are a main instrument provided by the policy for the implementation of the community-based natural resource management. Development of local community living adjacent to wildlife management area is hindered by the failure of ministry responsible to transform what is the policy to the implementation on the ground, meaning that the policy allows local community to utilize wildlife resource in their area through agreed hunting investors. The situation is that the authorized association is not allowed to enter into a contract with wildlife hunting investors. The investors are posted from ministerial level to Wildlife Management Area Authority with the approved contracts of hunting. The agreement is not based on the need of local community, but it's based on the needs of the. This hinders conservation, and in turn local people local adjacent communities have negative response to wildlife management trade. The current situation is that people are not involved in decision making. They get directives from district game office, especially on issue of wildlife hunting, which is against the policy. The next institution document is the Wildlife Management Areas Regulations of 2012. The Wildlife Management Areas Regulations 2012 are based on Wildlife Policy of 1998 and Wildlife Conservation Act of 2009. The regulations spell out the process, the requirements of establishment, the responsibilities of different stakeholders and actors, general regulations to utilization of the wildlife, and qualifications for being granted user rights for wildlife management areas. The regulations allow communities to become corporate entities and participate and benefit from wildlife utilization in wildlife management areas. First, a village assembly has meetings, if many villages are involved, must decide to form a wildlife management area. Once that is decided, they form a community-based organization. The community-based organization must have a constitution, rules of membership, qualifications of office bearers, and financial management procedures. Second, the community-based organization is to prepare land use plans for the relevant villages. The land use plans should show where the proposed wildlife management area will lie in the village or villages, and they should follow the procedures laid out by the National Land Use Planning. Third, the community-based organization must form a general management plan, or alternatively, as an interim measure for up to 5 years, they can compose a more basic resource management zone plan, providing for the zonation of resource uses in the proposed wildlife management area. Last, after completing the above requirements, the community-based organization can apply to the Director of Wildlife to declare the community-based organization to become an authorized association and gazette the wildlife management area. If the application is approved by the director and the wildlife management area is gazetted, the community-based organization becomes an authorized association, which then applies for user rights. The regulation further stipulates how revenue accrued from wildlife management area will be shared among stakeholders. For investments in wildlife management area, the regulations state that all investments must be approved by the Director of Wildlife Management, Director of Wildlife. In terms of tourist hunting, the authorized association can ask the director to designate all or part of wildlife management area to be a hunting. For the proportion that the authorized association does capture, the regulation states that at least 15% must be reinvested for resource development of the wildlife management area. At least 50% must be given to the member villages in the wildlife management area, and at least 25% must be reinvested in strengthening the authorized association. The distributions were denied by the respondents that they have never received their share since the establishment of the wildlife management area. The situation forced them to believe that the wildlife management area is not generating any revenues. The weakness of this regulation is that it doesn't stipulate what penalties will be to the ministry responsible if it fails to abide by the regulations. When asked why the authorized association couldn't receive the money directly from Game Frontiers, who were the investors hunting, the answer from the Wildlife Division was that the villagers and the authorized association are not able to collect that money from the investors. Once they are able to proceed to collect their own data for the visitors entering into the area, then they can collect the money right there. This statement is in contradiction to the devolved and participatory agenda of wildlife policy. The regulation states that the village game scouts shall assist the tourist hunting company while on safari, in addition to providing the scouts and their families with extra cash income. This would give Mungata a means to calculate the percentage they should receive from the wildlife division at the end of each hunting season. This was not the case in Garambe and Tapika villages. At the time of the fieldwork, game scouts from district rather than the village were supervising the trophy hunting. The next set of institutions are the Land Policy of 1997, the Land Act of 1999, and the Village Land Act of 1999. These institutions were developed with holistic view of using land for development process by putting emphasis on clear allocation of authority and hierarchy system of accountability. Wildlife is dependent on what happens to their habitats, and thus there is a strong link between land and wildlife legislation. The Land Act establishes three categories of land: the general land, reserved land, and village land. The Village Land Act deals with the management of latter category of land, while the Land Act deals primarily with management of reserved land and general land, in line with the sectoral pieces of legislation that the reserved lands are established under. Last are the National Environmental Policy of 1997 and the Environmental Management Act of 2004. The two institutions supportive of wildlife management strategy, although they don't mention wildlife management area explicitly. The National Environmental Policy of 1997 identifies 6 major environmental management problems that require urgent attention, including loss of wildlife habitats and biodiversity. To address the situation in relation to wildlife management, the National Environmental Policy of 1997 states that wildlife resources shall be protected and utilized in a sustainable manner on the basis of careful assessment of natural heritage in flora and fauna, fragile systems, sites under pressure, and endangered species, with participation of and benefits to the local communities. Environmentally adverse impacts of development projects in wildlife conservation areas, example tourist hotels, rail construction, will be minimized by environmental impact assessment studies. Game ranching and captivity breeding for certain species will be encouraged. Conclusions and recommendations. All the reviewed formal institutions support wildlife management area strategy explicitly or implicitly. The institutions stipulate that adjacent communities should benefit from the wildlife management areas. However, in practice, the adjacent communities only benefit in limited ways and not to the full extent stipulated by the institutions. The main recommendation is that the government at all its levels should ensure that the directives given in the institutions are implemented on the ground. There is need for research to find out how the transformation to practical implementation of the directives of the institutions may be facilitated or enforced. Thanks for your attention.